Hello, and welcome back to Narrations by Sean. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're back at it with the Entitled People subreddit. This time, an entitled and unqualified employee has a meltdown when the karmic boomerang catches up to them and they get fired. Grab your favorite snack, maybe a drink, put your feet up, and when you're comfortable, let's jump into it, shall we? Hosted by MMW_Oxford. For a bit of context, I'm a management consultancy contractor, which for most people means I'm a generalist with one or two specializations. Unfortunately, this is not the case since I'm actually an ex-management consultancy executive, which means I have corporate HR and legal training, which is important later. This happened about 8 years ago. I was working on a massive organizational transformation program involving 80,000 staff, with my part covering 40,000 staff. As you can imagine, it's really critical to get buy-in and have high levels of engagement with the staff through a team of consultants with professional behaviors. One of the key aspects of this new way of working was that it should be adopted through a team that embodies the new way of working and that it was out of strategy. As a part of my work, I needed to build out a team because frankly, there was no way I could do all the work by myself. I have a rule: everyone works, no hierarchy. Even if I had extra duties, I would not ask others to do things that I would not do myself. I was fortunate to internally hire a few people, all contractors coming to the end of their contracts, who knew the score that as a contractor, we work really hard and focus on completing work rather than serving time. I also met a person I will call Miss Awesome. She basically ran the whole program as a program manager in the PMO office. I'd helped her rebuild all the reporting in a day, as they had to move Jira versions and expected her to know the new version. Not my job, but I'm a team player and a Jira administrator. In turn, she suggested her boyfriend for one of my open roles. Let's call him Mr. Awesome. He was, as the title says, a great consultant, thoughtful, creative, and open to learning, as we all should be. As a part of this drive, I was given a perm member of the staff we can call Gail. She talked a great game, but clearly did not understand the mechanics of change or what we were trying to do. She was also unaware that her role was being demised at the end of the year, since her skill set was that of a personal assistant and she was not technical. Finally, we get to the EP. Let's call her Karen. That is, after all, her real name. Gail hired her without telling me, which of course is a big red flag. However, I work with people, handing them rope to see what they do with it. So I get feedback from everyone. It's a part of our new way of working, to have daily calls and to get feedback at the executive level across the whole transformation. Clearly, everyone has an agenda, and personal like or dislike can color what people say. However, actions are very hard to hide. I was not present at the incident, but since there were raised voices involved, I heard about it pretty quickly from multiple witnesses, but not from anyone involved. As the accountable person, it means I have to investigate, hear everyone's perspective, and decide what is best for my client, their reputation, and of course, the health of the transformation. First, I emailed Karen to ask her about the incident and ask her to explain what happened and why I had not been told about it. Her response was that she worked for Gail, that she did not report to me, and that it was none of my business. I was surprised by this response since it was so defensive and all of it was wrong. Everyone in the team was coming out of my multi-million-pound budget. Okay, note to self. Catch up with Gail on a couple points. Same email to Mr. Awesome, and he explained that Karen had tried to order him to do some of her work. He explained to Karen that he was busy with the work I had set him. She became aggressive and told him that she worked for the perm Gail, and that if he did not do as she said, she would get him fired. I sent another email asking why he had not told me, and he said he did not want to make things worse. I asked him to keep notes on any further engagement with Karen or Gail. At this point, I had done the baseline investigation, so I contacted our HR business partner for advice. It's really important to create data points because at this point, I was not sure what had happened or why, regardless of what I had been told. Next, I contacted Gail because she hired Karen. I asked about what happened and Karen's belief that she did not work for me. Gail confirmed that Karen had told her that Mr. Awesome had become aggressive when she asked for help, and that she was happy to work through this with Karen and Mr. Awesome. I think she was really surprised when I said no. I had previously asked for Karen's CV, but it had not arrived. I now formally requested it as a part of the investigation. She complied as she could see where this was going. It turned out that Karen had no skills or experience related to the work that she was being asked to do by me through Gail, and it transpired that Gail was using her as a PA. For context, a contact PA was on a 150 pound a day, and Karen was on 600 pounds a day. As Gail got her this job, the fog was becoming clearer now, and Karen was being put on the spot to cover up the fact that she did not know how to do the work. Unfortunately, because I had conflicting stories, the next step was to interview everyone involved. I first requested a chat with Karen. She found excuses to not have the meeting. Mr. Awesome arranged one ASAP. I had my meeting with Mr. Awesome, and he did not embellish anything, but was quite disturbed by the threat of his job by Karen. I informed him that neither Karen nor Gail had any such authority, and that HR had been engaged regarding the incident. He looked relieved and asked me what happens next. Over a 2-week period, I tried to nail Karen down to a meeting. Every time, she came up with an excuse about a meeting or call, which I knew to be a lie because I could see her calendar. Given this behavior, I contacted HR again and advised of my experience so far, Karen's behavior and lack of professional skills. They advised that I terminate her contract and have a member of security on the floor should they be needed. I finally managed to get a meeting with Karen. Gail was present. However, Karen would not come into the meeting room. At this point, I was still willing to work with her, but unfortunately, she aggressively told me from the open office plans that I had no authority over her. I expect it was a great show from the main office. I invited her into the room. She refused again. At this point, I'd had enough. I called a security guard and then told her to put her ID card on the desk and that she would be escorted out of the building. This is when it went nuclear. She went insane, shouting and cursing just in time for the security guard to arrive. He took her ID pass, would not let her pick up the work computer, and escorted her out of the building. Mr. and Mrs. Awesome were in the open plan office space and saw everything. Gail just carried on as if nothing had happened. By the way, Mr. and Mrs. Awesome are now married with children. Wow, a lot of layers to this one. Number 1, why do you take a job you know you're not qualified for? You're only going to be able to hide for so long. Number 2, who loses their mind and refuses to talk to their boss when they have a chance to keep their job? Maybe she was a trust fund baby? Then you go all temper tantrum, Walmart parking lot style when they fire you. What do you think you're going to get? A trophy? It was also pretty funny to see Gail, who's also unqualified, sit there and kind of pretend like she didn't know what was going on. You know, she was probably just like, I need this paycheck, and this is not the droid you were looking for. Probably while the meltdown was starting to happen, she was like, the other thing that I found interesting is Mr. and Mrs. Awesome. If anybody ever watches this video that's a Chuck fan, that couple is, in a word, awesome. Anyway, I hope this video entertained you. If you like the way I read stories, keep coming back and I'll keep churning them out. Like, share, and subscribe. Next time, I've got another office bully story for you that involves apples and crossbows. You're gonna have to come back to find out more about it. Have a good day. We will see you next time.